Do not open until Valentine's Day. Reddit, I need your help. Every year around February I get like this. My appetite is absent. My thoughts become cluttered. I have to take a week off from work just to cope with the anxiety. Every year, a day or two before Valentine's Day, I get mailed an envelope from my daughter. They are always titled the same, "Do not open until Valentine's Day," and contain a piece of ripped paper with an image printed on them. I always wait until Valentine's Day to open them, and that day is approaching fast. This year will be the 14th year in a row she has mailed one. The only problem is my daughter disappeared 14 years ago. It all started when my daughter Riley was 8. Her mother and I just divorced, and it was nasty. We fucking hated each other. I'll admit I can be stubborn sometimes, but according to her, every bad thing that happened was my fault. Her finger was always pointed at me. There were so many nights Riley couldn't sleep because of our yelling. Looking back, the divorce was in our best interest, especially Riley's, but still, I can't imagine how difficult it was for Riley watching her mother and I drift apart. My lawyer was expensive as shit, but worth it when joint custody was granted. My marriage was terrible, but it brought the flower of the world into my life, Riley. Arrangements were made for each of us to keep Riley 2 weeks at a time, and both of us living in the same school district made transport easy. Having to deal with her crazy mother on occasion was a pain in the ass, but well worth it to see my girl. As she grew up, her curiosity astonished me and opened my eyes to things you miss as an adult. She loved trips to the zoo, pushing her doll in a stroller and swinging. I taught her how to ride a bike with no training wheels, and she taught me how to appreciate endless hours of Disney movies. My favorite times with Riley were holidays. My side of the family treated her like a princess, and she soaked up the attention like a sponge. We always had so much fun playing games or exploring outside. She loved spending holidays with me, but usually didn't get to. Her overbearing mother caused a stir if Riley wasn't with her side of the family for holidays, and I usually didn't put up a fight. I knew to pick my battles carefully. Since she couldn't see me on most major holidays, she started mailing me things. She was sad I couldn't see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas, so she would cut out funny images she saw in a newspaper, magazine, or the internet, and mail them to me a few days before the holiday. She always titled the envelopes with "Do not open until insert holiday." She started enjoying her little collage projects, and I started receiving them on New Year, Halloween, 4th of July, and Valentine's Day. The next time she would come over, she asked if I waited until the actual holiday to open them, which I always did. It was a fun way for us to get around the 2-week rule. I started putting all of her envelopes and cutouts into a bin. I've held on to each and every one. She was my little angel that could instantly put me in a good mood. Her body may have been small, but her heart was large enough for the two of us. I don't know how she turned out so caring after all the shit her mother and I put her through, but God, I cared for her so much. One morning, I was woken by an authoritative knock at my door. The police eagerly searched my home and questioned me for hours, but I was more confused than helpful. I lost my shit when they said Riley was missing. I sucked up my pride to join my ex-wife in helping the police any way we could. The search began immediately. The Amber Alert had already been issued, and the whole community searched for my little angel. She has never been found. After getting my ex-wife's, neighbors, and others' testimony, the police pieced together their best assumption as to what happened. The report said Riley waited at the end of the driveway for the school bus. Her mother let Riley stand by herself while getting ready for work. The next time she looked for Riley, she was gone, and suspected the bus had picked her up and she was on the way to school. The bus driver said she never saw Riley that day. When the school called my ex-wife about Riley's absence an hour later, the police were called. Over the next few days, tips came in, but nothing was substantive. As the attention faded, so did the help. As the help faded, so did my optimism. When the police called off the search 2 weeks later, I smashed the fuck out of my bedroom drywall in a rage. I had a phase where I blamed my ex-wife for being irresponsible. I had a binge drinking phase. Hell, I even had a suicidal phase that went so far as a pistol purchase. The light of my life had been extinguished by some random perv or fucking maniacal abductor. Nothing helped ease the pain, and that following year crept by slowly. Then I received an envelope. Startled by the writing, I dropped it on the ground when I read the front. Do not open until Valentine's Day. The handwriting was shockingly similar, and even the apostrophe was missing, something she always forgot. I lost it. Tears streamed down my face while I sobbed harder than I had in my life. My sorrow quickly turned to anger when I realized what happened. Someone was playing the sickest fucking joke imaginable, and I had to find out who. I called my ex-wife, but she brushed off my anger as pathetic. I called a few friends who might have known something, but no one did. When I finally opened the envelope, the only thing it contained was a small, torn piece of paper with a printed image of a monkey. After calming my rage and getting my wits about me, I threw everything into a plastic bag to take to the police. Did one of her letters get trapped in the mail, only to be sent a year late? Is it a cruel joke? Is her abductor taunting me? Is Riley alive? None of my questions were answered after they analyzed the mail. No fingerprints, no fibers, no DNA. Fucking nothing. The only helpful information I received was since there was no stamp or return address, then someone put it in the mailbox personally. After 6 months of testing the envelope, an monkey image was returned to me. I put it in the box with the rest of Riley's gifts. The event was so peculiar it never left my mind. I spent hours going over possible scenarios of her disappearance and how one of her gifts got to me a year late. I spent that year a recluse from my family and friends while trying to make sense of what happened. My heart needed to heal, alone. On February 12th the following year, another envelope came. It had the same handwriting and title, Do Not Open Until Valentine's Day. I didn't get upset. Somehow it gave me peace. I followed the instructions and 2 days later opened it. A small piece of paper with an orange on it was inside. I put it in with the others. This has continued for the last 13 years, 14 if one comes this year. The first 4 envelopes contained images of a monkey, orange, mailbox, mouse, or mice. After 4 unsuccessful attempts in 4 years, the police could not find any information. Every year I brought them my newest gift, and every year they told me no evidence was found. They knew it was odd for me to get letters the same time every year, but since they were not threatening, they couldn't do much else. They advised I ignore them, since it could be a prank. After the 4th year, I stopped showing them. The next 3 years, I was mailed images of a yo-yo, kite, and igloo. A few months after I received the cutout of the igloo, I was called about Riley's disappearance. A young college filmmaker wanted to do a low-budget documentary on her disappearance and asked permission from me. Publicity could only help Riley's situation, so I agreed. The interview was difficult, but the college kid was accommodating enough to interview my ex-wife on a different occasion. I never mentioned the envelopes. After it was released online, the cops got a few more tips, but nothing materialized. The next February, I set up a camera to record my mailbox. I wanted to catch the person in the act. However, after getting another envelope, I searched the footage to find an error had occurred. The last 12 hours were just static. This new envelope gave me a rush while opening it. It was like Riley was still talking to me. Sure, I had doubts, but sometimes the only thing keeping a man sane are his delusions. The handwriting was still the same. It was still Riley's. The envelope's image was of a lemur. I continued living my life. I've had a construction job for 9 years now that pays well and keeps the hours consistent. My girlfriend lives with me and she is great, but I have kept the gifts from Riley a secret. Even my ex-wife doesn't know about them. When asked why I take off around Valentine's Day, I just tell everyone it's in honor of my daughter. The next 2 years brought in large images. The thick, folded pieces were glossy, like from a nice magazine. They were a light bulb, elephant. I continued saving all the gifts. Every year was like a present from Riley. My assumption of a prank faded years ago, knowing no one would keep this up that long. The next 3 years brought envelopes containing a dog, mop, ear or earring. The last 13 years have been a hard battle to fight. Not knowing where Riley is or if she is even still alive eats at my soul. I've managed the pain as best I could. These damn envelopes bring it all back. I have no idea why anyone would do this as a prank, but I equally can't believe it's anyone other than Riley. Every year, my mailbox camera malfunctions. Aha! You survived the story. Think you can handle how deep, dark, and disturbing the rabbit hole goes? Click on the playlist and let me know in the comments where your breaking point is.